The book of Job, starting with chapter 21, and we're going to go over way of the wicked, the day of wrath, security in Mighty God AHAYAH, where is God, how is man justified, only God is wise, and I am the byword, constant affliction, and acts of goodness. So let's get into the book of Job, chapter 21. But Job answered and said, Hear diligently my speech, and let this be your consolations. Suffer me that I may speak, and after that I have spoken, mock on. As for me is my complaint to man, and if it were so, why should not my spirit be troubled? Mark me and be astonished, and lay your hand upon your mouth. Even when I remember, I am afraid, and trembling taketh hold on my flesh. Wherefore do the wicked live, become old, yea, or mighty in power? Their seed is established in their sight with them, and their offspring before their eyes. Their houses are safe from fear, neither is the rod of Mighty God AHAYAH upon them. Their bull gendered and faileth not, their cow calved and casteth not her calf. They send forth their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. They take the timbrels and harp, and rejoice at the sound of the organ. They spend their days in wealth, and in a moment go down to the grave. Therefore they say unto Mighty God AHAYAH, Depart from us, for we desire not the knowledge of thy ways. What is the Almighty that we should serve him? And what profit should we have if we pray unto him? Lo, their good is not in their hand, the counsel of the wicked is far from me. How oft is the candle of the wicked put out? And how oft cometh their destruction upon them? Mighty God AHAYAH distributed sorrows in his anger. They are as stubble before the wind, and as chaff that the storm carried it away. Mighty God AHAYAH laid up his iniquity for his children. He rewarded him, and he shall know it. His eyes shall see his destruction, and he shall drink of the wrath of the Almighty God AHAYAH. For what pleasure had he in his house after him, when the number of his months is cut off in the midst? Shall any teach Mighty God AHAYAH knowledge, seeing he judgeth those that are high? One died in the fall, one died in his full strength, being wholly at ease and quiet. His breasts are full of milk, and his bones are moistened with marrow. And another died in the bitterness of his soul, and never eateth with pleasure. They shall lie down alike in the dust, and the worms shall cover them. Behold, I know your thoughts and the devices which you wrongfully imagine against me. For you say, Where is the house of the prince? And where are the dwelling places of the wicked? Have you not asked them that go by the way? And do you not know their tokens? That the wicked is reserved to the day of destruction. They shall be brought forth to the day of wrath. Who shall declare his way to his face? And who shall repay him what he had done? Yet shall he be brought to the grave, and shall remain in the tomb. The clouds of the valley shall be sweet unto him, and every man shall draw after him, as there are innumerable before him. How then comfort you me in vain, seeing in your answers there remaineth falsehood? Chapter 22. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, Can a man be profitable unto God, as he that is wise may be profitable unto himself? Is it any pleasure for the Almighty that thou art righteous? Or is it gain to him that thou makest thy ways perfect? Will he reprove thee for fear of thee? Will he enter in with thee in judgment? Is not thy wickedness great, and thine iniquities infinite? For thou hast taken a pledge from thy brother for naught, and stripped the naked of their clothing. Thou hast not given water to the weary to drink, and thou hast withholden bread from the hungry. But as for the mighty man, he had the earth, and the honorable man dwelt in it. Thou hast sent widows away empty, and the arms of the fatherless have been broken. Therefore snares are round about thee, and sudden fear troubleth thee. Or darkness that thou canst not see, and abundance of waters cover thee? Is not mighty God AHAYAH in the height of heaven? And behold, the height of the stars, how high they are? And thou sayest, how doth mighty God AHAYAH know? Can he judge through the dark clouds? Thick clouds are a covering to him that he seeth not, and he walketh in the circuit of heaven. Hast thou marked the old way which wicked men have trodden, which were cut down out of time, whose foundation was overflown with a flood? Which said unto mighty God AHAYAH, Depart from us, and what can the Almighty do for them? Yet he filled their houses with good things, but the counsel of the wicked is far from him. The righteous see it and are glad, and the innocent laugh them to scorn. Whereas thy substance is not cut down, but the remnant of them the fire consumeth. Acquaint now thyself with him, and be at peace, thereby good shall come unto thee. Receive, I pray thee, the law from his mouth, and lay up his word in thine heart. If thou return to the Almighty, thou shalt be built up, thou shalt put away iniquity from thy tabernacles. Then shalt thou lay up gold as dust, and the gold of Ophir as the stones of the brooks. Yeah, the Almighty shall be thy defense, and thou shalt have plenty of silver. For then shalt thou have thy delight in the Almighty, and shalt lift up thy face unto mighty God AHAYAH. Thou shalt make thy prayer unto him, and he shall hear thee, and thou shalt pay thy vows. Thou shalt also decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee, and the light shall shine upon thy ways. When men are cast down, then thou shalt say, There is lifting up, and he shall save the humble person. He shall deliver the island of the innocent, and it is delivered by the pureness of thine hands. Chapter 23. Then Job answered and said, Even today is my complaint bitter. My stroke is heavier than my groaning. Oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might come even to his seat. I would order my cause before him, and will fill my mouth with arguments. I will know the words which he would answer me, and understand what he would say unto me. Will he plead against me with his great power? No, but he would put strength in me. There the righteous might dispute with him, so should I be delivered forever from my judge. Behold, I go forward, but he is not there, and backward, but I cannot perceive him. On the left hand where he doth work, but I cannot behold him. He hideth himself on the right hand, that I cannot see him. But he knoweth the way that I take. When he had tried me, I shall come forth as gold. My foot had held his steps, his way have I kept, and not declined. Neither have I gone back from the commandment of his lips. I have esteemed the words of his mouth more than my necessary food. But he is in one mind, and who can turn him? And what his soul desired, even that he do it. For he performed the things that is appointed for me, and many such things are with him. Therefore am I troubled at his presence. When I consider, I am afraid of him. For mighty God AHAYAH maketh my heart soft, and the Almighty troubled me. Because I was not cut off before the darkness, neither had he covered the darkness from my face. Chapter 24. Why seem times are not hidden from the Almighty? Do they that know him not see his days? Some remove the landmarks. They violently take away flocks and feed them thereof. They drive away the ass of the fatherless. They take the widow's ox for a pledge. They turn the needy out of the way. The poor of the earth hide themselves together. Behold, as wild asses in the desert go they forth to their work, rising betimes for a prey. The wilderness yielded food for them and for their children. They reap every one his corn in the field, and they gather the vintage of the wicked. They cause the naked to lodge without clothing, that they have no covering in the cold. They are wet with the showers of the mountains, and embrace the rock for want of a shelter. They pluck the fatherless from the breast, and take a pledge of the poor. They cause him to go naked without clothing, and they take away the sheaf from the hungry, which make of oil within their walls, and tread their winepresses, and suffer thirst. Men groaned out of the city, and the soul of the wounded cried out. Yet mighty God AHAYAH led not folly to them. They are of those that rebel against the light, They know not the ways thereof, nor abide in the paths thereof. The murderer rising with the light killeth the poor and needy, and in the night is as a thief. The eye also of the adulterer waited for the twilight, saying, No eye shall see me, and disguised his face. In the dark they dig through houses which they had marked for themselves in the daytime. They know not the light, for the morning is to them even as the shadow of death. If one know them, they are in the terrors of the shadow of death. He is swift as the waters, their portion is cursed in the earth. He beholdeth not the way of the vineyards. Drought and heat consume the snow waters, so doth the grave those which have sinned. The womb shall forget him, the worm shall feed sweetly on him. He shall be no more remembered, and wickedness shall be broken as a tree. He evil entreated the barren that beareth not, and doeth not good to the widow. He draweth also the mighty with his power. He riseth up, and no man is sure of life. Though it be given him to be a safety whereon he rested, yet his eyes are upon their ways. They are exalted for a little while, but are gone and brought low. They are taken out of the way as all other, and cut off as the tops of the ears of corn. And if it be not so now, who will make me a liar, and make my speech nothing worth? Chapter 25. Then answered Bildad the Shuhite, and said, Dominion and fear are with him. He maketh peace in his high places. Is there any number of his armies? And upon whom doth not his eyes arise? How then can man be justified with God? Or how can he be clean that is born of a woman? Behold, even to the moon, and it shineth not, yet the stars are not pure in his sight. How much less man that is a worm, and the son of man which is a worm? Chapter 26. Job answered and said, How dost thou help him that is without power? How savest thou the arm that had no strength? How hast thou counsel with him that had no wisdom? And how hast thou plentifully declared the thing as it is? To whom hast thou uttered words, and whose spirit came from thee? Dead things are formed from under the waters, and the inhabitants thereof. Hell is naked before him, and destruction had no covering. He stretcheth out the north over the empty place, and hangeth the earth for nothing. He bindeth up the waters in his thick clouds, and the cloud is not rent under them. He holdeth back the face of his throne, and spreadeth his cloud upon it. He encompassed the waters with bounds, until the day and night come to an end. The pillars of heaven trembled, and are astonished at his reproof. He divided the sea with his power, and by his understanding he smiteth through the proud. By his spirit he had garnished the heavens, his hand had formed the crooked serpent. Lo, these are parts of his ways, but how little a portion is heard of him. But the thunder of his power who can understand? Chapter 27. Moreover Job continued his parable and said, As mighty God AHAYAH liveth, who had taken away my judgment, and the Almighty, who had vexed my soul, all the while my breath is in me, and the spirit of mighty God AHAYAH is in my nostrils, my lips shall not speak wickedness, nor my tongue utter deceit. Mighty God AHAYAH forbid that I should justify you. Till I die will not remove mine iniquity from me. My righteousness I hold fast, and will not let it go. My heart shall not reproach me so long as I live. Let my enemy be as the wicked, and he that riseth up against me as the unrighteous. For what is the hope of the hypocrite? Though he had gained, when mighty God AHAYAH taketh away his soul, will mighty God AHAYAH hear his cry when trouble cometh upon him? Will he delight himself in the Almighty? Will he always call upon God? I will teach you by the hand of mighty God AHAYAH that which is with the Almighty will I not conceal. Behold, all you yourselves have seen it. Why then are you thus altogether vain? This is the portion of a wicked man of Mighty God AHAYAH, and the heritage of oppressors, which they shall receive of the Almighty. If the children be multiplied, it is for the sword, and his offspring shall not be satisfied with bread. Those that remain of him shall be buried in death, and his widows shall not weep. Though he heap up silver as the dust, and prepare raiment as the day, he may prepare it, but the just shall put it on, and the innocent shall divide the silver. He builded his house as a moth, and as a booth that the keeper maketh. The rich man shall lie down, but he shall not be gathered. He opened his eyes, and he is not. Terrors take hold on him as waters. A tempest stealeth him away in the night. The east wind carried him away, and he departed, and as a storm hurled him out of his place. For Mighty God AHAYAH shall cast upon him, and not spare. He would fain flee out of his hand. Men shall clap their hands at him, and shall hiss him out of his place. Chapter 28. Surely there is a vein for the silver, and a place for gold where they find it. Iron is taken out of the earth, and brass is molten out of the stone. He set it an end to darkness, and searched out all perfection, the stones of darkness and the shadow of death. The flood breaketh out from the inhabitant, even the waters forgotten of the foot. They are dried up, they are gone away from men. As for the earth, out of it cometh bread, and under it is turned up as it were fire. The stones of it are the place of sapphires, and it had dust of gold. There is a path which no fowl knoweth, and which the vulture's eye had not seen. The lion's whelps have not trodden it, nor the fierce lion passed by it. He putteth forth his hand upon the rock. He overturneth the mountains by the roots. He cutteth out rivers among the rocks, and his eyes seeth every precious thing. He bindeth the floods from overflowing, and the thing that is hid bringeth he forth to light. But where shall wisdom be found, and where is the place of understanding? Man knoweth not the price thereof, neither is it found in the land of the living. The depth said, It is not in me, and the sea said, It is not with me. It cannot be gotten for gold, neither shall silver be weighed for the price thereof. It cannot be valued with the gold of Ophir, with the precious onyx or the sapphire. The gold and the crystal cannot equal it, and the exchange of it shall not be for jewels of fine gold. No mention shall be made of coral or of pearls, for the price of wisdom is above rubies. The topaz of Ethiopia shall not equal it, neither shall it be valued with pure gold. Whence then cometh wisdom, and where is the place of understanding? Seeing it is hid from the eyes of all living, and kept close from the fowls of the air. Destruction and death say, We have heard the fame thereof with our ears. Mighty God AHAYAH understandeth the way thereof, and he knoweth the place thereof. For he looketh to the ends of the earth, and seeth under the whole heaven, to make the weight for the winds, and he weigheth the waters by measure. When he made a decree for the rain, and a weight for the lightning of the thunder, then did he see it, and declare it, he prepared it, yea, and searched it out. And unto man he said, Behold, the fear of Mighty God AHAYAH, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. Chapter 29. Moreover, Job continued his parable and said, Oh, that I were as in months past, as in the days when Mighty God AHAYAH preserved me, when his candle shined upon my head, and when by his light I walked through darkness, as I was in the days of my youth, when the secret of Mighty God AHAYAH was upon my tabernacle, when the Almighty was yet with me, when my children were about me, when I washed my steps with butter, and the rock poured me out rivers of oil. When I went out to the gate through the city, when I prepared my seat in the street, the young men saw me and hid themselves, and the aged arose and stood up. The princes refrained talking and laid their hand on their mouth. The nobles held their peace, and their tongue cleaved to the roof of their mouth. When the ear heard me, then it blessed me, and when the eye saw me, it gave witness to me, because I delivered the poor that cried, and the fatherless that him that had none to help him. The blessing of him that was ready to perish came upon me, and I caused the widow's heart to sing for joy. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me. My judgment was as a robe and a diadem. I was eyes to the blind, and feet was I to the lame. I was a father to the poor, and the cause which I knew not I searched out. And I brake the jaws of the wicked, and plucked the spoil out of his teeth. Then I said, I shall die in my nest, and I shall multiply my days as the sand. My root was spread out by the waters, and the dew lay all the night upon my branch. My glory was fresh in me, and my bow was renewed in my hand. Unto me men gave ear, and waited, and kept silence at my counsel. After my words they spake not again, and my speech dropped upon them. They waited for me as for the rain, and they opened their mouth wide as for the latter rain. If I laughed on them, they believed it not, and the light of my countenance they cast not down. I chose out of their way, and sat chief, and dwelt as a king in the army, as one that comforted the mourners. Chapter 30. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. Yea, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was I perished. For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time desolate and waste, who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat. They were driven forth from among men, they cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in caves of the earth, and in the rocks. Among the bushes they brave, under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men, they were viler than the earth. And now am I their song, yea, I am their byword. They abhor me, they flee far from me, and spare not to spit in my face. Because he had loosed my cord and afflicted me, they have also let loose the bridle before me. Upon my right hand arise thy youth, they push away my feet, and they raise up against me the ways of their destruction. They mar my path, they set forward my calamity, they have no helper. They came upon me as a wide breaking in of waters. In the desolation they rolled themselves upon me. Terrors are turned upon me, they pursue my soul as the wind, and my welfare passeth away as a cloud. And now my soul is poured out upon me. The days of affliction have taken hold upon me. My bones are pierced in me in the night season, and my sinews take no rest. By the great force of my disease is my garment changed. It is binded me about as the collar of my coat. He had cast me into the mire, and I am become like dust as ashes. I cry unto thee, and thou dost not hear me. I stand up, and thou regardest me not. Thou art become cruel to me with thy song, and thou opposest thyself against me. Thou liftest me up to the wind, thou causest me to ride upon it, and dissolvest my substance. For I know that thou wilt bring me to death, and to the house appointed for all living. Howbeit he will not stretch out his hand to the grave, though they cry in his destruction. Did not I weep for him that was in trouble? Was not my soul grieved for the poor? When I looked for good, then evil came unto me, and when I waited for light, there came darkness. My bowels boiled and rested not. The days of affliction prevented me. I went mourning without the sun. I stood up and I cried in the congregation. I am a brother to dragons and a companion to owls. My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burned with heat. My harp also is turned to mourning, and my organ into the voice of them that weep. Chapter 31. I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? For what portion of Mighty God AHAYAH is there from above, and what inheritance of the Almighty from on high? Is not destruction to the wicked, and a strange punishment to the workers of iniquity? Did not he see my ways and count all my steps? If I have walked with vanity, or if my foot has hastened to deceit, let me be weighed in an even balance, that Mighty God AHAYAH may know my integrity. If my steps had turned out of the way, and mine heart walked after mine eyes, and if any blot had cleaved to mine hands, then let me sow, and let another eat, yet let my offspring be rooted out. If my heart have been deceived by a woman, or if I have laid wait at my neighbor's door, then let my wife grind unto another, and let others bow down unto her. For this is an heinous crime, yet it is an iniquity to be punished by the judges. For it is a fire that consumeth to destruction, and would root out all my increase. If I did despise the cause of my manservant, or of my maidservant, when they contended with me, what then shall I do when Mighty God AHAYAH riseth up? And when he visited, what shall I answer him? Did not he that made me in the womb make him? And did not one fashion us in the womb? If I have withheld the poor from their desire, or have caused the eyes of the widow to fail, or have eaten my morsel myself alone, and the fatherless had not eaten thereof, for from my youth he was brought up with me as with a father, and I have guided her from my mother's womb. If I have seen and perished for want of clothing, or any poor without covering, if his loins have not blessed me, and if he were not warmed with the fleece of my sheep, if I have lifted up my hand against the fatherless, when I saw my help in the gate, then let my arm fall from my shoulder blade, and my arm be broken from the bone. For destruction from Mighty God AHAYAH was a terror to me, and by reason of his highness I could not endure. If I have made gold my hope, or have said to the fine gold, Thou art my confidence, if I rejoiced because my wealth was great, and because my hand had gotten much, if I beheld the sun when it shined, or the moon walking in brightness, and my heart had been secretly enticed, or my mouth had kissed my hand, this also were an iniquity to be punished by the judge. For I should have denied the Mighty God AHAYAH that is above. If I rejoiced at the destruction of him that hated me, or lifted up myself when evil found him, neither have I suffered my mouth to sin by wishing a curse to his soul. The men of my tabernacle said not, O that we had of his flesh. We cannot be satisfied. The stranger did not lodge in the street, but I opened my doors to the traveler. If I covered my transgressions as Adam, by hiding mine iniquity in my bosom, did I fear a great multitude, or did the contempt of families terrify me? Then I kept silence and went not out of the door. Oh, that one would hear me. Behold, my desire is that the Almighty would answer me, and that mine adversary had written a book. Surely I would take it upon my shoulder, and bind it as a crown to me. I would declare unto him the number of my steps, as a prince would I go near unto him. If my land cry against me, or that the Pharaohs likewise thereof complain, if I have eaten the fruits thereof without money, or have caused the owners thereof to lose their life, let thistles grow instead of wheat, and cockle instead of barley. The words of Job are ended. Chapter 32. So these three men ceased to answer Job, because he was righteous in his own eyes. Then was kindled the wrath of Elihu, the son of Barachel, the Buzite of the kindred of Ram. Against Job was his wrath kindled, because he justified himself rather than Mighty God AHAYAH. Also against his three friends was the wrath kindled, because they had found no answer, and yet had condemned Job. And Elihu had waited till Job had spoken, because they were elder than he. And Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these three men. Then his wrath was kindled. And Elihu the son of Barachel the Buzite answered and said, I am young, and you are very old. Wherefore I was afraid, and durst not show you mine opinion. I said, days should speak, and multitude of years should teach wisdom. But there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty giveth them understanding. Great men are not always wise, neither do the aged understand judgment. Therefore I said, Hearken to me, I also will show my opinion. Behold, I waited for your words, I gave ear to your reasons, whilst you search out what to say. Yeah, I attended unto you, and behold, there was none of you that convinced Job, or that answered his words. Lest you should say, We have found out wisdom, Mighty God AHAYAH thrusted him down, not man. Now he had not directed his word against me, neither will I answer him with your speeches. They were amazed, they answered no more, they left off speaking. When I had waited for, they spake not, but stood still, and answered no more. I said, I will answer also my part, I also will show my opinion, for I am full of matter, the spirit within me constraineth me. Behold, my belly is as wine which had no vent, it is ready to burst like new bottles. I will speak that I may be refreshed, I will open my lips and answer. Let me not, I pray you, accept any man's persons, neither let me give flattering titles unto man. For I know not to give flattering titles, and so doing my Maker would soon take me away. Chapter 33. Wherefore, Job, I pray thee, hear my speeches, and hearken to all my words. Behold, now I have opened my mouth, my tongue hath spoken in my mouth. My words shall be of the uprightness of my heart, and my lips shall utter knowledge clearly. The Spirit of Mighty God AHAYAH had made me, and the bread of the Almighty had given me life. The breath of the Almighty had given me life. If thou canst answer me, set thy words in order before me, stand up. Behold, I am according to thy wish in Mighty God AHAYAH's stead. I also am formed out of the clay. Behold, my terror shall not make thee afraid, neither shall my hand be heavy upon thee. Surely thou hast spoken in mine hearing, and I have heard the voice of thy word, saying, I am clean without transgression, I am innocent, neither is there iniquity in me. Behold, he findeth occasions against me, he counted me for his enemy. He putted my feet in the stocks, he marked all my paths. Behold, in this thou art not just. I will answer thee that Mighty God AHAYAH is greater than man. Why dost thou strive against him? For he giveth not account of any of his matters. For Mighty God AHAYAH speaketh once, yet twice, yet man perceiveth it not. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon man, in slumbering upon the bed, then he opened the ears of men, and sealeth their instruction, that he may withdraw man from his purpose, and hide pride from man. He keepeth back his soul from the pit, and his life from perishing by the sword. He is chastening also with pain upon his bed, and the multitude of his bones with strong pain, so that his life abhorred bread, and his soul dainty meat. His flesh is consumed away, that it cannot be seen, and his bones that were not seen stick out. Yea, his soul draweth near unto the grave, and his life to the destroyers. If there be a messenger with him, an interpreter, one amongst 1,000, to show unto man his uprightness, then he is gracious unto him, and said, Deliver him from going down to the pit. I have found a ransom. His flesh shall be fresher than a child's. He shall return to the days of his youth. He shall pray unto Mighty God AHAYAH, and will be favorable unto him, and he shall see his face with joy. For he will render unto man his righteousness. He looketh upon men, and if any say, I have sinned, and perverted that which was right, and it profited me not, he will deliver his soul from going into the pit, and his life shall see the light. Lo, all these things work in Mighty God AHAYAH oftentimes with man, to bring back his soul from the pit, to be enlightened with the light of the living. Mark well, O Job, hearken unto me. Hold thy peace, and I will speak. If thou hast anything to say, answer me. Speak, for I desire to justify thee. If not, hearken unto me, hold thy peace, and I shall teach thee wisdom. Chapter 34. Furthermore, Elihu answered and said, Hear my words, O ye wise men, and give ear unto me, you that have knowledge. For the ear tried words as the mouth tasted meat. Let us choose to use judgment. Let us know among ourselves what is good. For Job had said, I am righteous, and Mighty God AHAYAH had taken away my judgment. Should I lie against my right? My wound is uncurable without transgression. What man is like Job, who drinketh up scorning like water, which goeth in company with the workers of iniquity, and walketh with wicked men? For he had said, it profited a man nothing that he should delight himself with Mighty God AHAYAH. Therefore hearken unto me, you men of understanding. For be it from Mighty God AHAYAH that he should do wickedness, and from the Almighty that he should commit iniquity? For the work of a man shall he render unto him, and cause every man to find according to his ways. Yeah, surely Mighty God AHAYAH will not do wickedly, neither will the Almighty pervert judgment. Who had given him a charge over the earth, or who had disposed the whole world? If he set his heart upon man, if he gather unto himself his spirit and his breath, all flesh shall perish together, and man shall turn again into dust. If now thou hast understanding, hear this. Hearken to the voice of my words. Shall even he that hated right govern? And wilt thou condemn him that is most just? It is fit to say to a king, thou art wicked, and to princes, you are ungodly. How much less to him that accepted not the persons of princes, nor regarded the rich more than the poor? For they all are the work of his hands. In a moment shall they die, and the people shall be troubled at midnight, and pass away, and the mighty shall be taken away without hand. For his eyes are upon the ways of man, and he seeth all his goings. There is no darkness nor shadow of death where the workers of iniquity may hide themselves. For he will not lay upon man more than right, that he should enter into judgment with Mighty God AHAYAH. He shall break in pieces mighty men without number, and set others in their stead. Therefore he knoweth their works, and he overturneth them in the night, so that they are destroyed. He striketh them as wicked men in the open sight of others, because they turned back from him and would not consider any of his ways. So that they caused the cry of the poor to come unto him, he had heard the cry of the afflicted. When he giveth quietness, who then can make trouble? And when he hideth his face, who then can behold him? Whether it be done against a nation or against a man only, that the hypocrite reign not, lest the people be ensnared. Surely it is meet to be said unto Mighty God AHAYAH, I have borne chastisement, I will not offend any more. That which I see not, teach thou me. If I have done iniquity, I will do no more. Should it be according to thy mind? Will he recompense it, whether thou refuse, or whether thou choose? And not? I therefore speak what thou knowest. Let men of understanding tell me, and let a wise man hearken unto me. Job has spoken without knowledge, and his words were without wisdom. My desire is that Job may be tried unto the end because of his answers for wicked men. When he added rebellion unto his sin, he clapped his hands among us and multiplied his words against Mighty God AHAYAH. Chapter 35. Elihu spake moreover and said, Thinkest thou this to be right, that thou saidest, my righteousness is more than Mighty God AHAYAH's? For thou saidest, what advantage will it be unto thee? And what profit shall I have, if I be cleansed from my sin? I will answer thee, and thy companions with thee. Look unto the heavens, and see, and behold the clouds which are higher than thou. If thou sinnest, what doest thou against him? Or if thy transgressions be multiplied, what dost thou unto him? If thou be righteous, what givest thou him? Or what receiveth he of thine hands? Thy wickedness may hurt a man as thou art, and thy righteousness may profit the Son of Man. By reason of the multitude of oppressions, they make the oppressed to cry. They cry out by reason of the arm of the mighty. But none said, Where is Mighty God AHAYAH, my Maker, who giveth songs in the night? who teacheth us more than the beasts of the earth, and maketh us wiser than the fowls of the heaven. There they cry, but none give an answer, because of the pride of evil men. Surely mighty God AHAYAH will not hear vanity, neither will the Almighty regard it. Although thou sayest thou shalt not see him, yet judgment is before him, therefore trust thou in him. But now, because it is not so, he had visited in his anger, yet he knoweth it not in great extremity. Therefore doth Job open his mouth in vain, he multiplied words without knowledge. Chapter 36. Elihu also proceeded and said, Suffer me a little, and I will show thee that I had yet to speak on mighty God AHAYAH's behalf. I will fetch my knowledge from afar, and will ascribe righteousness to my Maker. For truly my word shall not be false, he that is perfect in knowledge is with me. Behold, mighty God AHAYAH is mighty, and despiseth not any. He is mighty in strength and wisdom. He preserveth not the life of the wicked, but giveth right to the poor. He withdraweth not his eyes from the righteous, but with kings are they on the throne. Yea, he that established them forever, and they are exalted. And if they be bound in fetters, and be holden in cords of affliction, then he showeth them their work, and their transgressions that they have exceeded. He opened also the ear to discipline, and commanded that they return from iniquity. If they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity, and their years in pleasures. But if they obey not, they shall perish by the sword, and they shall die without knowledge. But the hypocrites in heart heap up wrath, they cry not when he bindeth them. They die in youth, and their life is among the unclean. He delivered the poor in his affliction, and opened their ears in oppression. Even so would he have removed thee out of the strait into a broad place, where there is no straightness, and that which should be set on thy table should be full of fatness. But thou hast fulfilled the judgment of the wicked. Judgment and justice take hold on thee. Because there is wrath, beware, lest he take thee away with his stroke, then a great ransom cannot deliver thee. Will he esteem thy riches? No, not gold, nor all the forces of strength. Desire not the night when people are cut off in their place. Take heed, regard not iniquity. For this hast thou chosen rather than affliction. Behold, mighty God AHAYAH exalted by his power, who teacheth like him, who had enjoined him his way, or who can say thou hast wrought iniquity? Remember that thou magnify his work which men behold. Every man may see it, man may behold it afar off. Behold, mighty God AHAYAH is great, and we know him not, neither can the number of his years be searched out. For he maketh small the drops of water, they pour down rain according to the vapor thereof, which the clouds do drop, and distill upon men abundantly. Also can any understand the spreadings of the clouds, or the noise of his tabernacle? Behold, he searcheth his light upon it, and covered the bottom of the sea. But by them judgeth he people, and giveth meat in abundance. With clouds he covered the light, and commanded it not to shine by the cloud that cometh betwixt. The noise thereof showeth concerning it, the cattle also concerning the vapor. Chapter 37. At this also my heart trembled, and is moved out of its place. Hear attentively the noise of his voice, and the sound that goeth out of his mouth. He directed it under the whole heaven, and his lightning unto the ends of the earth. After it a voice roared. He thundered with the voice of his excellency, and he will not stay them when his voice is heard. Mighty God AHAYAH thundered marvelously with his voice. Great things doeth he, which we cannot comprehend. For he said to the snow, Be thou on the earth, likewise to the small rain, and to the great rain of his strength. He sealed up the hand of every man, that all men may know his work. Then the beasts go into dens, and remain in their places. Out of the south cometh the whirlwind, and cold out of the north. By the breath of mighty God AHAYAH frost is given, and the breath of the waters is straightened. Also by watering he wearied the thick cloud, he scattered his bright cloud. And it is turned round about by his counsels, that they may do whatsoever he commanded them upon the face of the whole in the earth. He caused it to come, whether for correction or for his land, or for mercy. Hearken to this, O Job. Stand still and consider the wondrous works of Mighty God AHAYAH. Dost thou know when Mighty God AHAYAH disposeth them, and causeth the light of his cloud to shine? Dost thou know the balances of the clouds, the wondrous works of him which is perfect in knowledge? How thy garments are warm when he quieteth the earth by the south wind? As thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong, and as a molten looking glass? Teach us what we shall say unto him, for we cannot order our speech by reason of darkness. Shall it be told him that I speak? If a man speak, surely he shall be swallowed up. And now men see not the bright light which is in the clouds, but the wind passeth and cleanseth them. Fair weather cometh out of the north with Mighty God AHAYAH is terrible majesty. Touching the Almighty, we cannot find him out. He is excellent in power and in judgment and in plenty of justice. He will not afflict. Men do therefore fear him. He respected not any that are wise of heart. Chapter 38. Then Mighty God AHAYAH answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, Who is this that darken counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare it if thou hast understanding. Who had laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest? Or who had stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of Mighty God AHAYAH shouted for joy? Or who shut up the sea with doors, when it brake forth as it had issue out of the womb? When I made the cloud the garment thereof, and the thick darkness a swaddling band for it, and brake up for it my decree place, and set bars and doors, and said, Hitherto shalt thou come, but no farther, and here shall thy proud waves be stayed? Hast thou commanded the morning since thy days, and caused the dayspring to know his place, that it might take hold of the ends of the earth, that the wicked might be shaken out of it? It is turned as clay to the seal, and they stand as a garment. And from the wicked their light is withholden, and the high arm shall be broken. Hast thou entered into the springs of the sea? Or hast thou walked in the search of the depth? Have the gates of death been open unto thee? Or hast thou seen the doors of the shadow of death? Hast thou perceived the breadth of the earth? Declare it if thou knowest it all. Where is the way where light dwelleth? And as for darkness, where is the place thereof? That thou shouldest take it to the bound thereof, and that thou shouldest know the path to the house thereof? Knowest thou it because thou wast then born, or because the number of thy days is great? Hast thou entered into the treasures of the snow, or hast thou seen the treasures of the hail, which I have reserved against the time of trouble, against the day of battle and war? By what way is the light parted, which scattered the east wind upon the earth? Who had divided a water course for the overflowing of waters, or a way for the lightning of thunder? To cause it to rain on the earth where no man is, on the wilderness wherein there is no man, to satisfy the desolate and waste ground, and to cause the bud of the tender herb to spring forth. Had the rain a father? Or who had begotten the drops of dew? Out of whose womb came the ice, and the hoary frost of the heaven? Who had gendered it? The waters are hid as with a stone, and the face of the deep is frozen. Canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season, or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons? Knowest thou the ordinances of heaven? Canst thou set the dominion thereof in the earth? Canst thou lift up the voice to the clouds, that abundance of waters may cover thee? Canst thou send lightnings, that they may go and say unto thee, Here we are? Who had put wisdom in the inward parts, or who had given understanding to the heart? Who can number the clouds in wisdom, or who can stay the battles of heaven? When the dust goeth into hardness, and the clouds cleave fast together? Wilt thou hunt the prey for the lion, or fill the appetite of the young lions? When they couch in their dens, and abide to the covert to lie in wait? Who provided for the raven his food, when the young ones cry unto mighty God? They wander for lack of meat. Chapter 39. Knowest thou the time when the wild goats of the rock bring forth? Or canst thou mark when the hinds do calve? Canst thou number the months that they fulfill, or knowest thou the time when they bring forth? They bow themselves, they bring forth their young ones, they cast out their sorrows. Their young ones are in good liking, they grow up with corn, they go forth and return not unto them. Who has sent out the wild as free, or who had loosed the bands of the wild ass? Whose house I have made the wilderness, and the barren land his dwellings. He scorned the multitude of the city, neither regarded the crying of the driver. The range of the mountains is his pasture, and thus searcheth after every green thing, and he searcheth out every green thing. Will the unicorn be willing to serve thee, or abide by thy crib? Canst thou bind the unicorn with his band in the furrows, or will he harrow the valleys after thee? Wilt thou trust him, because he strengthened his strength is great, or wilt thou leave thy labor to him? Wilt thou believe him, that he will bring home thy seed and gather it unto thy barn? Gavest thou the goodly wings unto the peacock, or wings and feathers unto the ostrich, which leaveth her eggs in the earth, and warmeth them in dust, and forgetteth that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beast may break them? She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear. Because mighty God AHAYAH had deprived her of wisdom, neither had he imparted to her understanding. With time she lifted up herself on high, she scorned the horse and the rider. Hast thou given the horse strength? Hast thou clothed his neck with thunder? Canst thou make him afraid as a grasshopper? The glory of his nostrils is terrible. He pawed in the valley, and rejoiced in his strength. He goeth on to meet the armed men. He mocketh at fear, and is not affrighted, neither turneth he back from the sword. The quiver rattleth against him, the glittering spear and the shield. He swallowed the ground with fierceness and rage, neither believeth he that it is the sound of the trumpet. He said among the trumpets, Ha ha! And he smelleth the battle afar off, the thunder of the captains and the shouting. Doth the hawk fly by thy wisdom, and stretch her wings toward the south? Doth the eagle mount up at the command, and make her nest on high? She dwelleth and abideth on the rock, upon the crag of the rock, in the strong place. From thence she seeketh the prey, and her eyes behold afar off. Her young ones also suck up blood, and where the slain are they, there is she. Chapter 40. Moreover, mighty God AHAYAH answered Job and said, Shall he that contended with the Almighty instruct him? He that reproved mighty God AHAYAH, let him answer it. Then Job answered mighty God AHAYAH and said, Behold, I am viled. What shall I answer thee? I will lay my hand upon my mouth. Once I have spoken, but I will not answer, yet twice, but I will proceed no further. Then answered mighty God AHAYAH unto Job out of the whirlwind, and said, Gird up thy loins now like a man. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. Wilt thou also disannul my judgment? Wilt thou condemn me, and that thou mayest be righteous? Hast thou an arm like mighty God AHAYAH, or canst thou thunder with a voice like him? Deck thyself now with majesty and excellency, and array thyself with glory and beauty. Cast abroad the rage of thy wrath, and behold every one that is proud, and abase him. Look on every one that is proud, and bring him low, and tread down the wicked in their place. Hide them in the dust together, and bind their faces in secret. Then will I also confess unto thee that thine own right hand can save thee. Behold, now Behemoth, which I made thee, with thee he eateth grass as an ox. Lo, now his strength is in his loins, and his force is in the navel of his belly. He moveth his tail like a cedar, the sinews of his stones are wrapped together. His bones are as strong pieces of brass, his bones are like bars of iron. He is the chief of the ways of mighty God AHAYAH. He that made him can make his sword to approach unto him. Surely the mountains bring him forth food, where all the beasts of the field play. He lied under the shady trees in the covert of the reed and fens. The shady trees cover him with their shadow. The willows of the brook compass him about. Behold, he drinketh up a river, and hastened not. He trusted that he can draw up Jordan into his mouth. He taketh it with his eyes, his nose pierced through snares. Chapter 41. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with the cord which thou lettest down? Canst thou put an hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Will he make many supplications unto thee? Will he speak soft words unto thee? Will he make a covenant with thee? Wilt thou take him for a servant forever? Wilt thou play with him as with a bird, or wilt thou bind him for thy maidens? Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the merchants? Canst thou fill his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? Lay thine hand upon him, remember the battle, do no more. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him? None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before him? Who had prevented me that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. I will not conceal his part, nor his power, nor his comely proportion. Who can discover the face of his garments, or who can come to him with his double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. His scales are his pride, shut up together as with a closed seal. One is so near to another that no air can come between them. They are joined one to another, they stick together that they cannot be sundered. By his neesing a light doth shine, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils goeth smoke as out of a seething pot or cauldron. He breatheth kindled coals as a flame goeth out of his mouth. In his neck remaineth strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. The flakes of his flesh are joined together, they are firm in themselves, they cannot be moved. His heart is as firm as a stone, yea, as hard as a piece of the nether millstone. When he raiseth up himself, the mighty are afraid. By reason of breakings they purify themselves. The sword of him that laid at him cannot hold, the spear, the dart, nor the halberdion. He esteemed iron as straw, and brass as rotten wood. The arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned with him into stubble. Darts are counted as stubble. He laughed at the shaking of a spear. Sharp stones are under him. He spreadeth sharp-pointed things upon the mire. He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. He maketh a path to shine after him. One would think the deep to be hoary. Upon earth there is not his like, who is made without fear. He beholdeth all high things, he is a king over all the children of pride. Chapter 42. Then Job answered Mighty God AHAYAH and said, I know that thou canst do everything, and that no thoughts can be withholden from thee. Who is he that hideth counsel without knowledge? Therefore have I uttered that I understood not, things too wonderful for me, which I knew not. Hear, I beseech thee, and I will speak. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye seeth thee. Wherefore I abhorred myself, and repent in dust and ashes. And it was so that after Mighty God AHAYAH had spoken these words unto Job, Mighty God AHAYAH said to Eliphaz and Temanite, My wrath is kindled against thee, and against thy two friends, for you have not spoken of me the things that is right, as my servant Job hath. Therefore take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray for you. For him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly, in that you have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job. So Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went and did according as Mighty God AHAYAH commanded them. And Mighty God AHAYAH also accepted Job. And Mighty God AHAYAH turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also Mighty God AHAYAH gave for Job twice as much as he had before. Then came there unto him all his brethren, and all his sisters, and all they that had been of his acquaintances before, and did eat bread with him in his house. And they bemoaned him, and comforted him over all the evil that Mighty God AHAYAH had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one of an earring of gold. So Mighty God AHAYAH blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep, and 6,000 camels, and 8,000 yoke of oxen, and 8,000 she-asses. He had also 7 sons and 3 daughters. And he called the name of the first Jemimah, and the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Kirihapah. And in all the land were no women found so fair as the daughters of Job. And their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. After this lived Job 140 years, and saw his sons and his daughters' sons, even 4 generations. So Job died, being an old and full of days. And that's the end of Job. Thanks for listening.